now for the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the good. Say goodbye to those phone chargers. Researchers have outfitted electronics with special sensors that take Wi-Fi signals from a router and then turn them into power. The team even recharged batteries from 28 feet away. And next, the bad. A dangerous fistfight. Look at this on California's 101 freeway, all because of a traffic snarl. These two guys, they were yelling at each other. Then they started flying those fists. One guy almost gets knocked into oncoming traffic. Finally, the ugly. It looks like a normal intersection in Russia, but then, holy cow, that's a moose leaping over that white car. The moose, a little disoriented, but look, he gets up and he runs away.
Oh, I hope he was okay.
For the last few days, a sick creep has roamed New York City, attacking women with a hammer. Yesterday, he assaulted a female cop and her partner filled him with lead. Nice. Here's Police Chief Bratton.
These officers had no chance to call for assistance, but rather they reacted quickly and instinctively. Indeed, the whole incident that you will see took about 3 seconds from start to finish. During that, the Officer O'Rourke was attempting to call on her radio as she was being struck and fell to the ground. Her partner officer, making a literally split-second decision to save her life, shot the suspect, seriously wounding him. Again, I want to commend both officers for their alertness and their behavior during the performance of this incident.
So why are we covering this? Well, it's Police Week, and FNC must balance the other network's obsession with police misconduct. After all, who stopped this fiend? Not a student activist stinking of bong water or a CNN hack in fake glasses full of faux concern. Two beat cops did, and they didn't hesitate for fear of outrage. You think Sharpton or your typical social justice screamer would have stopped this guy? Those cops did more in 3 seconds than they'll do in a lifetime. It reveals who stands between you and the world's worst threats. Could you ever handle that job, Mayor de Blasio? No, you're busy staining the country on a self-promoting tour, touting history's failures as new ideas.
We pledge to reach out all over the country to hundreds and hundreds of our fellow progressives and start a movement that would reach all the way here to Washington, D.C. and make an impact so we could finally address income inequality.
He's worse than Mayor McCheese. If he only knew the thin blue line separates us from the horribles. Speaking of, the attacker, a schizophrenic with many violent arrests, a pile of weapons, and a public passion for blood-dripping hammers, he was allowed to roam the streets like a lion loose in a playground. Until we rebuild our institutions for the mentally ill, such attacks will repeat, and the only people who will stop them are the cops maligned for their fearlessness. That's true bravery, which in the face of easy criticism and outright insanity might be called senseless. KG?
Yeah.
That was great. That's great police work, but you're not going to hear about it, are you?
No, and they caught a guy that was a suspect that was at large, that was hurting women, wielding this hammer, trying to kill people, and they dropped him. And this is after he assaulted a female officer. So thank God for their training. And a split-second decision to be able to do this and put him down and avoid further harm. Then you've got to talk about the other issue, which is the state of mental illness in this country. And what are we doing about it? Because what you have is, as the seasons change, people migrate that are suffering from mental illness from one town to the next, depending on how the weather is. San Francisco in particular, pretty general climate, good, not a lot of true seasons. So people like to go there, and that's what you do. So, unfortunately, yes, our prisons are overcrowded with felons, with serious offenders. So, and the few beds that we have for mental health patients, are quickly filled up. People are dispensed some drugs and sent back out on their way.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. The prison isn't a place for the mentally ill. Juan, this guy had a history of mental illness. So effectively, we're turning our police officers into frontier psychiatrists. They're the guys out here that are doing the shrink work that they shouldn't be doing.
This is absolutely right. And I must say, this is right across political lines. Surprise, but Hillary Rodham Clinton, in her so-called listening tour, when she came back, the one thing that she said was, everybody from Nebraska to Manhattan is saying, we got to do something about the rising percentage of mental illness in this country. We got to find a way to deal with it. And, you look at the numbers I was seeing here, and it said 15% of state prison inmates, psychiatric disorders. And not only that, there's a high level of psychiatric illness among people who are homeless in this country. Again, you say, oh, they're homeless. I'm sorry?
It's sad.
It's really, it's very sad to me. So this guy is out of control. Now, I will have one point of difference with you, my fair friend, which is I'm not crazy about people shooting people all the time. I think this guy is a madman. In fact, I remember reading a novel long ago, one of those Deadly Sin novels by Lawrence Sanders, where the guy was hammering people in Manhattan. But, I mean, the idea that you had no alternative but to shoot him, I'm not sure.
I think he was hammering a woman's head. Juan.
I agree. No. I don't.
Juan,
there's no defense there.
You don't have a quarrel with this particular situation, do you? Because these were like life and death.
No, I think what the Commissioner Bratton was right. It was a split-second decision. You had to do what you have to do to protect your partner. No questions asked. But I'm just saying there is a tendency to say, "Oh, shoot him," and I'm just like never going to.
I don't know. What are you going to go back and get the beanbag thing and tell her family when her head's bashed in that I'm so sorry I couldn't get the beanbag?
Oh, stop! Tasers exist. Tackling people is a nut.
But see, this is an interesting point, Eric. Is that we are now introducing into a police officer's mind the fear of making a decision.
The split-second decision is at the very heart of this. And when Juan says things like, "I'm not sure he should have been shot," that adds more indecision in the split-second decision. Those are the types of things you hear from the left, you hear from de Blasio, you hear from liberals saying, hey, maybe there is a lot of issues with police and, say, the African-American community. It puts a question in their mind. Should I stop him? Should I frisk him? Should I shoot him? Is he going to kill or her? He'll kill somebody. And that missing out on that split-second decision might actually kill people.
Right.
Allow people to die. Very quickly. Also in play is all this discussion about whether or not cops are good or bad is a drain on the morale. Morale will kill any organization, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a business, whether it's a military, or whether it's a police department. And one thing you don't want is a low morale military or police department. So the discussions we have, one, we should be applauding this cop for making the split-second decision and taking out a bad guy. Was he mentally handicapped? He may have been, but at the time, he was wielding a hammer and could have killed somebody.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
let me just say, as a human being, you should hesitate any time you use deadly force against another human being.
I would agree with you, but that hesitation should be a split-second.
Oh, that's what it was.
Someone might die here. Goodbye.
It's a case
justifiable
by case.
shooting.
But if you see somebody with a hammer hitting a woman, shoot him.
Yeah. Split second.
Dana, de Blasio's going all over. He's preaching the progressive word. He's preaching stuff that never worked. That, shouldn't he be spending less time there in New York, preventing his city from imploding?
I actually think he might be more popular outside of New York than he is here.
Let him stay
that's you might say the same thing about hepatitis.
Don't encourage him to come back. Don't encourage him to come back.
Okay, hepatitis is great if it's not in your city.
That's true. Let me tell you something. I think that he's picking the right moment, right? So the left is ready for this. Look at Al Sharpton. Is that Al Sharpton right behind him? He's picking a moment to say, this is what the left... I can't tell if it is. It looks like him.
No, yeah.
It is.
I think so.
The party has moved so far to the left that now they're like insatiable. They want more of it. Okay, so President Obama just had that big failure on trade at the hands of the Democrats. It's going to get fixed today because Republicans are doing that for him. But the Democrats want to hear more of this progressive talk. He can pick a moment. If de Blasio is smart, he knows that this is the opening because people are not that enchanted with Hillary Clinton, although they're likely to support her, but they're looking for a different voice. Elizabeth Warren and de Blasio are actually filling that voice.
Oh, my God. Please.
They are.
He's ruined New York. And please don't tell me you think he has further political aspirations.
I think that's exactly why he's on this tour.
So he's on a national tour now talking about income inequality, infrastructure, and other liberal progressive ideas.
Yeah.
Why isn't he here? I mean, we have a city that's literally on the verge.
I think he probably feels like he's done all he can do here. I don't think he thinks he's done a bad job.
He only won because 5 people showed up, unfortunately, for that election.
No, the question is he running for something else?
Oh, yes.
I think he's definitely positioning himself for higher office in the future.
Yeah, but he's part of the Clinton.
Running for pot czar.
He's part of the Clinton machine. He's very close to them, so he's not going to even think.
No, I don't mean for president. I mean higher aspirations, higher political aspirations.
One of the czar positions.
But, I mean, this week is National Police Week, and I think, I'm sorry, I feel like Fox News
I like your blue.
Thank you. Are we the only network that's talking about it? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't watch other networks.
I watch every network when I'm at the gym on the stair climber.
Oh, I do too. You're right. They don't play. They don't
see anything.
Well, let me tell you, in D.C., it's just Police Week.
Yeah.
Because that's where police come to celebrate, and we have a major monument to police and police sacrifices, the names of police officers who were killed in the line of duty.
Yep.
And I think that, you know what, there's such an outpouring this is where, again, you and I differ. I think most Americans have an innate respect for the police and for their authority.
I agree.
So this is not a matter of, oh, we don't like police. It's a matter of saying, you know what, police have the color of authority to use deadly force. And when police act in a way that's not consistent with the tremendous respect people have for them, they should be able to say, hey, something's wrong here. You're a public servant.
The emphasis on isolated events gets more attention in the media and who kowtow to activists as opposed to pointing out these great events that happen when lives are
But how
changed.
about go up to an officer and say thank you, or you could hug them like I do?
And why are we
Is
not
that
pointing
right?
out, Juan, as you point out those instances where you think police may act inappropriately? How about the number that we have in our research that last year in 2014, cops killed in the line of duty up 89% from the prior year. So all this hesitation, all this question, am I going to get called out? Am I doing the right thing? Is de Blasio going to say stop and frisk is bad? Is it contributing to higher fatality rates among police officers?
Wait, no, of course
I hope not.
Of course not. And you know,
Because
you threw out that
Because they're
number.
hesitating.
You threw out that number without telling people, yes, there was a big jump last year. But in fact, it's lower than what the average is of officers killed each year, which is 64.
No, I
so, I mean, just
understand.
be
It was
fair.
a jump last year, and we don't know what this year will bring either. So you can't say it's not a trend yet.
I hope it's not a trend.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's trend out.